Hello, Blake Bruning here from Trinity Whip Company, and we're going to go over some basic cracks today. And what we're going to go over is called the Cattleman's crack. I'm using a Simon Martin 5.5 foot whip-a-lay stock whip just because it's all white and I think it'll show up a lot better than something dark. And in this, whether it's a stock whip, bull whip, snake whip, you always want to grab the heel foundation of your hand, not the handle. Now, even a stock whip kind of has a natural curve. It's kind of hard to see, but where it naturally kind of bends in a way. So me personally, I kind of like to use that like I would a bull whip, have the natural curve going back to just help create that rolling loop out. Now, the Cattleman's crack is probably the first crack you've learned if you've already had some crack training, you know. And then if not, it's probably the first one you teach people, and for a lot of good reasons. Now, we're going to go ahead and show this crack a few times. I'm going to break it down really quickly and maybe give you some points to help understand it, to teach people better. And then we'll talk more about why I think it's the best one to teach someone on their first date. So, with this is the Cattleman's crack. A little slower. Alright, now, with the Cattleman's crack, we want to make sure that the thong is lands on a horizontal plane to where I want to cast it. So I want to make sure it's all the way behind me, not in the dirt before I crack. So once it hits the horizon opposite of my direction, that's where I want it to go. So if I wanted to go up, I let the horizon plane drop a little bit more and cast it up. If I wanted to go down, I might cut it a little early. Kind of like the snake killer, where it just kind of keeps that parallel in a quick succession. So with this, you can imagine a clock face when I'm holding my whip. It's 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 1, 2, 3. First of all, when I raise this whip up, I want to kind of freeze at about the 11 or 10 o'clock. I don't want to go to the 9 like I'm throwing a football. If I'm not casting it quite like that, I have to bring it straight back down and create an arc just like about a fishing pole in my hand. Just let it cast. So with this, we're going to learn to hold it. Now I want to look at the horizon plane when you're new and help people get used to seeing it, which you'll find is very hard when you're trying to help a rookie. You'll say, look at the whip. And they're like, look at the whip. I'm like, no, look at the thong. And they just kind of take their eyes off. Sometimes it's just hard for people. So, you know, there's different ways you work on it. So when they won't look very well, I talk about feeling the whip. And when I throw the whip up and you freeze it, they got to freeze it. They just can't come back and see. You'll feel the pull of the weight of the whip. If you watch this, you can watch it tug a little. Right there, I'll freeze it around 12, and then it tugs a little. Now, that tug will be your clue that the weight's in the back, so that you can crack it. Now, the thong, the part that is part of the whip, not the handle. The thong is important too when they bring it up. Now, a lot of times I'll teach you the Cattleman's crack like this, hold it out in front, but I find rookies tend to want to whip it kind of in their face coming up, just because they don't really have a clean pull, so it kind of wants to come up at them. So I'd rather you have them put behind them and learn to have them just swing on that plane as opposed to right in front and raise and crack. So with this, what we call falling asleep on the Cattleman's is, you don't want it to go all loose right there, if you can see it, because when I crack, wherever it is when I crack, it could come down and bite me. So I want a nice full swing like you're bowling, something like that, throwing a horseshoe, you know, and then I want it to be strong and nice and clean where the whip doesn't make like a figure S. And as it comes around and hits the plane, go forward. Now you can learn to crack it straight down, no problem. But I find that's really good after they kind of get that down, learn to crack it straight forward, because straight down kind of takes away the length of your whip, and you want them to learn to target. So pointing forward in that chest level helps you target. As far as bringing this up, I'd rather bring up strong and go weak, then go weak, and then go strong. And on that point, a lot of times when you start cracking whips so well, people see it, and they're like, that looks so easy. I feel like I could just, by watching them, grab a whip and crack it. And then some people might. But generally, they need a few practice swings. And a lot of times, they think they know how to crack something because they had a really cheap whip when they were a kid, you know, a $5 special, or they crack towels in the gym or the gym locker. And with the towels in the gym, you'd have to kind of like pull it back to get that pop, or to get that pop. And with a whip that doesn't need it, especially whenever I go up and down, it wants to come back and hit me. Or if I cast it out and pull back a little to get that pop, it comes right at you. So everything I do, crack, should never directly want to come back towards me. It should end away. So have it start behind, nice full swing. Also make sure that the whip itself is not in their shoulder plane. Have them have their elbow out a little. Have it come down. If you're jumping rope, it would never hit you. Right? And that should help them out a lot. Like I said, this is the most important first crack. It paves the way for a lot of one-handed whip routines, two-handed as you get into it. But when you're showing someone, hopefully you've got whip meets you're going to, or you're starting your own whip meets and you're trying to grow the awareness and the fun of whip cracking, this is probably the first thing that generally would get taught. So you're going to get really used to teaching this and helping people out and find out everyone has their own little problems with it. And the more you teach, the better help. But this is also good because in that first day, if that's all they can pick up, they also learn how to target. So you can already get some candles out, and then, believe me, even if they learn to crack for the first time, you set a candle out, have everybody circle up and take turns cracking it, and they won't be bored for an hour trying to snuff that candle out. Even if they can't get it, they're going to keep trying. So you can show leaves on a tree. You could maybe hold a stick, a long stick, so they get used to hitting it. Show them how, if I was to aim for a target, I'd want to start out here and work my way in, not really aim for it when you're new to it. Because you say I was holding something small and you aim for this, odds are you're more likely to bite their hand. When as you're new to it, you should always start trying to slowly crack your way in, kind of jog it in until you get used to finally kicking it, until you can finally just hit on the first one. Once again, this is the Cattleman's crack. Definitely the most important fundamental crack, I would say, in my opinion. I'm Blake Bruning from Trinity Whip Company. I hope this is informative, and I've got more basic cracks that I'm going to highlight coming up. God bless. Have a wonderful day.